welcome to episode 173 of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Sunday night. Look, I'm back here after I mentioned I would be gone all this past week. I am back. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of sports news happened. We had the NBA draft. You may ask, where was I, right? I mentioned a little bit what was going on. And if you caught a couple episodes of Journey Million, you may know it was myself, Drew Skyberg, Zach Rouse, Jared Vleski. We did a week-long road trip. We went out. We said, hey, we're going to do some fun stuff. We did it. It featured, on the sports side, we saw a couple NFL venues, including we saw Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts. We saw Nissan Stadium, I should go in order. We saw Paycor Stadium, home of the Bengals. And then we saw Nissan Stadium, home of the Titans. And then we attended two baseball games. We went to Great American Ballpark, home of the Cincinnati Reds. And lastly, we rounded out at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. So I can tell you, those were some really cool sports venues. Great American, I did enjoy. I thought it was a great stadium. It featured great scenic views with the Ohio River in the background. I was really impressed with Busch Stadium. The amount of unique things that come with that stadium, whether it's the stadium district, the view of the arch in the background, or the diverse food options. My hot dog. I might post on Instagram. This is how iconic it was. Okay, it was a hot dog, and then it had hash browns on the bottom. Then they put this huge hot dog in it that like sticks together, and then they put taco meat, 2 sunny side eggs, and nacho cheese sauce. That's to top it off. This thing's huge. It was a $13 hot dog. So that's what it was. That's what I ate. And that was a meal. That was a meal and a half. So that's just one of my fun tidbits of the trip. We have some fun photos from that. A lot of golf as well in that. You'll hear more Wednesday. We'll be hopefully back in our recording schedule there. Just these last two weeks with the trip and such didn't work out. We are back. We're back in our schedule. Just fun stuff. And with that, of course, featured some grids and stuff. And we watched the NBA draft. So we have 2 Buck selections to touch on how those went. Some interesting picks, to say the least. We'll start with the baseball side. We'll get to basketball then. With that, we have to do our games, right? It's still that point of the year, though, not a whole lot of news. So that does mean we got to put the work in here. I'm gonna try to go through the Brewers one fast, and then we'll do the other ones. But you see here we have a Brewers grid. Brewers Royals, Brewers, someone with a sub-3 ERA or under for a full season, no innings requirement, and then a 300 average or 300 batting season. So here we go. Jonathan Lucroy batted 300 for a season. I just know he did. 1%. Okay, this is going to be tough. I thought of like Jim Henderson would be cute with this. Jeremy Jeffress did it. There's no minimum innings requirement. I think I want to say Jeffress. Oh, Jeffress was also a Royal. Should we put him here? Is Jeremy Jeffress going to be lower in top left than the top middle is my question. He was a Cub as well. You just see Jeremy Jeffress runs this grid. He didn't have a sub-3 ERA with them, though. I wonder if like Pedro Strop. I feel like the middle reliever type is going to be the guy to play here on this kind of grid. Maybe that's just me. I think did Jim Henderson have a sub-3 ERA with the Brewers? I think he might have. I'm going to say Jeffress here. Or no, we can think of a better Brewer Royal. I'm going to put Jeffress with the Cubs. Nobody's going to remember that one. That one better be really low. 0.1%. There you go. Okay. Cubs sub-3 ERA. We could put like Kyle Hendricks there, the GOAT. Is now with an 8 ERA. But ERA leader at one point. Cubs 300 plus batting. I thought of Starlin Castro is going to be. I'm just going to put Starlin Castro. Only 2%. Okay. Yankees 300 plus average. Not sure right now. Obviously, I can name the obvious guys like Jeter, A-Rod, guys of that nature. Brewers sub-3. I think I want to say Jim Henderson. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there 0.03%. All right. Brewers, Royals. What do we got here? It's kind of reliever types. I always think of, did Jacob Junis play for them? See, he played for the Giants last year. I don't know if he's the guy who I thought right away. Obviously, that's one that's not as exciting to say. I gotta think more about that one. I can't think of like even like Nori Aoki works. I think I'm gonna say Nori Aoki. He played for the Royals then. He did. He sure did. 0.8. Good job. He was a lot better. Like those first 2 years. It just if he would have entered the big leagues earlier, he might have been something, And not say he wasn't, but Cubs sub 3 ERA. I said Pedro Strop. I think he did it. I think he had 1 year where I'm gonna say Strop, and there's a lot of years he had 1%. This is a really good grid right now. I'm just worried about that bottom left one. I might slip up there and say someone who's not that good. I'm gonna use Betances here, 2%. I'm gonna say Yankee a 300 plus average. That's where Castro would have been good. Do I want to say like DJ LeMahieu? Is that weird? I think I'm gonna do it because I don't know where else to go. He did in that 2020 season, 3%. A Yankee Royal. This is for all of it, all the glory. A reliever. I gotta think about this one. So I thought of like free agent guys they went and got this year, like Renfro. That doesn't work. Who are just some like Didi Gregorius, like trying to think of those kinds of guys. Clint Frazier, did he? No, he didn't make a stop there. Carlos Beltran works. So I think of Beltran, but Beltran's going to be high. Is Beltran going to be that high? I feel like he will be. I should be able to think of someone better here. I really should. Rarity score of 19. That's good, right? I'll take a 19 rarity score any day. Look at that. Johnny Damon was number one. So yeah, some of those were tough for people. Thankfully, Brewer Knowledge, a lot of that helps on a grid like this. A 19 rarity score. We'll take it. Good work today, everyone. Let's go over to our immaculate draft now. You know how it's baseball. It's baseball season. We gotta do them. A 19 rarity score to start this. We'll talk then the Brewers grand slams. They can't stop hitting them. And we'll run through that. Hey, Eric, I appreciate the support in the Twitch chat. Yeah, I was help being a Brewer thing on that one. You might be able to help me here with some trivia on our Immaculate Draft. For those who don't know, this is one of our favorites here on the show. You gotta go check this Immaculate Draft out. It's phenomenal. Just immaculatedraft.com. Catcher to start, Jake Arrieta started his MLB career with which team? Fortunately, I know this. I believe it was the Baltimore Orioles. So we're gonna put in Baltimore. Yeah, we want to just put in Baltimore Orioles. I believe it's that. Okay, so far, so good. We're going to take Will Smith as our catcher. First base, which MLB pitcher for the Guardians finished as runner-up for 2023 Rookie of the Year? I think that one's Josh Naylor, right? Right, Naylor was runner-up last year because Quan made his debut in 2022. I don't think he qualified. It had to have been Naylor. Am I missing someone? No, Naylor's been around for that long. I am not right there. We will skip. We'll see if Eric's got. I'll phone a friend. 2011 was the last year where the rookies of the year were both pitchers. Name one of them. Great question. Who was one of the 2011? Oh, was it like Cobb or Drew Smiley, maybe? Smiley's 2012. Rookie of the years were pitchers. Neither of them are still. Oh, Jeremy Hellickson. That's who I think it is. I think it's 2010. It says. I guess they could have made their debut. You know what I mean? It could have been like where they still qualify for rookies of the year. So like Chris Bryant made his debut in 2015. I guess that's right, actually. I think Jeremy Hellickson's one of them. Maybe I'm off a year. Was it 2010? I can't keep skipping them though. I'm gonna say this is for the Tigers, the Rochester Red Wings. I'm probably wrong. The Nationals. That one you just don't know. I don't know. Eric's still thinking of the Guardians. All right, I might need you for two of them. Which player set the record for total bases? You know this one. Total bases in a game with 19 in 2002. This, in fact, happened against the Milwaukee Brewers. That is Sean Green. Sean Green. I got that one right. He had himself a day. We will take Hanley Ramirez. I will say he's high. I don't even know how that works. I think it's like a double down thing. Tennessee Smokies. Okay, I don't know. I can tell you, not the Brewers. Yeah, 19 total bases, Eric. It was something. Go if you see the highlights of that game, it was crazy. Tennessee Smokies. For sake of time, I'm just gonna put a team down that I think it could be. I'm gonna say it is. I'm gonna say it's St. Louis. Kind of gives me some Cardinal vibes. It was the Cubs. Would not have guessed that. Who was the last Pittsburgh Pirate to hit 30 home runs in a season? Right away, I think Pedro Alvarez. Yeah, Eric, I won't be the show should help me, but sometimes I'm like, Pirate to hit 30 home runs. I'm thinking right off the bat. I said Alvarez, no pun intended. Last Pirate 30 home runs. Took out last year. Wasn't like Brian Hayes. Brian Reynolds. I don't think he got to 30. So Eric, you knew my Cardinals answer was wrong. Springfield Cardinals. That makes sense. Springfield's close to St. Louis. Drove through there. I'm gonna say Pedro Alvarez. I'm gonna say it's been a while. Oh, is it Alvarez? Why is it not showing up? Am I missing something? I can't do like the accent if they're looking for. Well, oh, here he is. Josh Bell. Brian Reynolds. That was who also I thought of. I should have thought of Josh Bell. Not actually that good right now. I feel like I'm doing better. Which team's open in the Tokyo Dome? Which I just have to name one of them. Seattle was one of them. Because that was like the whole set. I think it was both these teams. Seattle, Miami, wasn't it? Oh no, it was just Seattle. Okay, I got Seattle. We'll take that one. Okay, 2011. I said Jeremy Hellickson. I said like Alex Cobb or Drew Smiley. Was it Cobb maybe? Alex Cobb could be him. I'm gonna say Cobb. It was Hellickson. Oh, that was bad. I should have just went with my gut. Hellickson showed up that he was 2010 though, so that makes it a little confusing. Nicky Lopez will stay lower. I don't know. So that was kind of dumb. That the years were kind of thrown off, but you win some, you lose some. Name this pitcher. 1993 to 2004 was a Blue Jay. 2005 was a Marlin. 06 to 09 was a Met. Or it says player, not pitcher. Sorry. Primarily No, I thought of Roberto Alomar because it was like it maps that, but I don't know those teams. 93 to 04 Blue Jay. That's tough. Okay. The Guardians, which player? This was just last year. Logan Allen. Who it is. Yeah, Eric, that's what I was saying too. How he didn't play the whole season, so it doesn't matter, but it's Tanner Bybee. I said Logan Allen. Yikes. Unfortunate. Okay, let's get this last one here. Blue Jays, Marlins, Mets. Obviously, I was only alive for part of these. I not really for his Blue Jay stint. It looked like it was a 1-year thing in Miami. That's weird. Like, it's like catchers. I don't know if I have a guess. Yeah, Eric, I was a little surprised it was Bybee as well. Blue Jays for 11 years. I think I might put someone down. Eric, you got any guess at audience? Phone my audience here. Um, Not really good. The grid score of a 19 was phenomenal, and then just something like that happens was rough. How we're rolling this one right now. I'll go with. I don't even know who I said. Lowell. No, doesn't even match the years. You have no idea. Obviously, it's on him. I'm gonna put him down. Carlos Delgado. I did not know he was a Marlin. I did. I absolutely did not know that. Okay, well, you can see not a good day for me on this. However, the Immaculate Grid being a 19 rarity score was something I'll take. However, that rounds out the game portion. We got to talk about the Bucks here. The Milwaukee Bucks draft selection, a little surprising, I thought, is to say the least. I think that's how I'm going to start talking about this. They had two selections, the 23rd and the 33rd pick in this draft. There was talks they might trade the pick. They might go and get some other guys. Really, the need and the thought was one of the picks was going to be spent on a guard that was going to be ready to play some quality minutes day one. So whether that was a 23, 24-year-old guard out of college, Terrence Shannon, the guard out of Illinois, who was someone people were looking at, who I actually thought would be a pretty good fit too, just with the nature of how he plays, his where he is right now. He's NBA ready, you'd say. And maybe even like Tyler Kolek. I know there's some concerns with athleticism and so on with him, but they went two ways where we didn't think they were going to go. They got, okay, for looking at Doc Rivers, right? We know Doc Rivers is a coach who leans on the veteran. He's always been that guy. You said bring in Pat Bev, right? They bring in Pat Bev so he can lean on the veteran guys and not have to play Beauchamp, AJ Green, Andre Jackson. And you add another guy to that mix. You had AJ Johnson. Yeah, don't get Andre Jackson, AJ Johnson. Both rookies, both guys who he might not want to play because right, rookies and experience and so on. Add AJ Johnson to the mix. Goes 23rd overall. Wasn't actually invited onto the floor at the draft. Had tickets, had general tickets. They kind of worded it as. Still was at the draft. Very surprising. Was a pick when we saw drafted. People were wondering why, how. And I'm not that guy. That's not who I am. I might look and but I don't think draft pick when it happens because they didn't get the person they wanted because you never know how it works out. That's how drafting is. You never know. AJ Johnson, a 19-year-old prospect, who his stats were not that exciting as he was with the he was in the Australian NBL's Next Stars program. That's where he was. He had 2.9 points per game in 7.7 minutes. So he was not actually getting quality minutes there. So that was something that is usually surprising because let's look at Giannis, for example. When they drafted Giannis, that was a surprise. They drafted an 18-year-old not with a lot of questions, but Giannis was putting up stats in the league he was in Greece. He was playing very well. He wasn't playing that's the concern here is this guy was playing not that great, right? 2.9 points. There was wasn't that efficient from the field either in only 7.7 minutes a game. So that's kind of where the question is why the selection here. He seems for a team that is in win now more of a down the road pick, which obviously a general manager wants to still have that 10-year horizon. But when you have Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Chris Middleton, also with Brook Lopez and other veterans, a 3 to 5 year horizon may even be too far, which you still want to have ideas for the future, but you don't want to risk the present for that future. So that's where Bucks fans come from a great place. And I feel it's been actually really good discourse on that. Just a little surprising there. I haven't talked yet about the other selection there with Tyler Smith going 33rd overall. And he got selected and actually has more experience, probably more of a pedigree, you'd say, than Johnson. Johnson is more of a toolsy pick, and I'm just touching a little bit more on Johnson here before I move to Smith. Johnson, uh, he mentioned that when I was listening to it was he felt he had his best workout with the Bucks too, and scouts have raved about his ability to shoot, especially off the dribble I've seen. And feel that that's kind of the potential the Bucks are leaning into a 6'4" guy who potentially still room to grow and can be a little disruptor, or can disrupt a little bit like defensively is what I mean. And that was something to see. But then going to Tyler Smith, a little different, a 6'9" forward. He was with the G League Ignite, so he got some minutes, and he was in the Rising Stars game. So was at All Star Weekend last year in Indy, with the G League team, and he had a pretty good season last year. He averaged 14 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, and 22 and assists in 22.2 minutes. 3-point shooting was a beaut for him, a beauty. 36% from the 3-point arc. Um, Something I like to see. He had 7 games with 20 plus points. Just a guy who you think you can get some quality minutes out. The summer league is going to be really interesting for the Bucks this year. I think out of years to watch, this is going to be a great year to watch. I want to see how these guys play. I think that's an important thing, but also just seeing how they're used in it. We've seen last year a summer league with a grain of salt, right? Because Beauchamp was the playmaker, the guy to make plays last year for the Bucks, and it was really good for him, right? But these guys, it's gonna be huge to see how they can play as like more of complementary pieces, and can they take that next step. And I'm really more intrigued to see how Johnson plays. I think we're going to see Smith. I think Smith is going to be a guy who we can see flourish. I'm more hoping we can see a guy like Chris Livingston. I want to see him have a big year this upcoming year. Like, can he take that next step? Can he take that AJ Green step where, like, hey, I can play you in a home game. We need a spark, and you're that spark. He had that a little bit last year, but nothing where it was like, hey, this is perfect, right? So those are the two guys who we're looking at. We have 2 more weeks until we have summer league stuff, so I'll obviously talk about that when it gets closer on the show. But otherwise, that's kind of what I want to talk about here. Smith, both of them young selections. The Bucks draft was, for what I saw, consensus why the industry was more of a C base. National media also agrees with how Bucks fans perceive this draft as not necessarily a perfect fit for them, but that's how we feel, and hopefully, in John Horst we trust, right? I mean, Horst historically actually hasn't been that great of a drafter. For those who don't remember, John Hammond was the executive who chose and selected Giannis, and not Horst. But I'm still optimistic, and I'm not criticizing, just pointing out that it was not actually graded that highly of a draft for the Bucks. Let's go over the Brewers here to round out the show. Look, it was a great week for Milwaukee. Homestand again, 5-1. Definitely a bright spot of the year after that tough end to the trip in San Diego, right? Losing 3 of 4. You were able to salvage a game there, but then you get Texas at home, you get the Cubs, you sweep Texas. Right? I mean, a lot of momentum for the Brewers is really what we're looking at right now. Just want to pull up more things about it, right? Because it's been a crazy end of the month here in June for the Brewers. Right, I talked about a sweep against Texas, and then 2 of 3 this weekend against the Cubs. You win Friday. Lone loss coming Saturday. You definitely were hoping for a sweep against the Cubs, as you always were, but I personally just felt like Saturday yesterday was just a game. Like, it's a tough one to win. It really was. Just with how the Cubs pitched, the Brewers also just weren't hitting well. The ump scorecard said the Cubs were favored by plus 1.5 runs based on the calls as well. So like that never helps you, but definitely not why they lost, right? They lost by 2 as well. So it's just something to look at, though. I think, though, this week, right? It was the Grand Slam, 5 Grand Slams. This is crazy. Terang starts us off, right, with a Grand Slam. Then Hoskins has one, and then Bowers has one, and so it was Saturday, it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So I mentioned Bowers hitting a 450-foot one to center, and then on Friday it was, who it was, Jackson Chorio hits one, and then today it was Bryce Terang. So Really cool to see. Terang has 2 in the last 8 days or whatever. 3 for his 2-year career so far. So all that's happened. Brewers are 5-1 this week with limited starting pitching. A lot of guys on the IL, and they're still able to manage. Talk about Freddie Peralta having a bounce back start to end his month that was not so great in June. Today, 7 innings strong of 1-run ball, only 2 hits allowed. That was my favorite point of the day. Really, was how Peralta performed today. Colin Ray's been consistent, even when Tobias Myers didn't have his A game stuff, and of course Brewers lost yesterday though on Saturday. He still had like a quality start. I mean that was the small things you look for with this Brewers pitching staff as well. Yelich hitting a home run this week's huge. I think on the injury side, we got to talk about some guys here though. Joey Ortiz, we thought we had him back. He got scratched on Saturday with neck spasms. His status is still uncertain day to day. Again, it almost feels like an IL stint should have been just the solution, but it was not. So we're waiting on him. And then we know about, unfortunately, Jared Koenig, after he was throwing 98-99, pitching beautifully on Saturday. Unfortunately, or it might have been Friday, actually, I believe it was, needed to come out and now, or with injury, he has some forearm tightness stuff going on. He's going to have some imaging done Monday. We'll see what that severity is. They sounded optimistic, though, in post-game, pre-game stuff. I'm thinking it could be just this IL stint. It could be worse, but we're optimistic that it's just this IL stint. Just take a break from throwing for a little bit here. But he's been throwing harder, and that could be part of it. You never know. DL Hall should be back here in the next couple of weeks. I think around the All-Star break is a realistic thing. Rehab assignments and stuff have gone well. And then also, right, Devin Williams has been throwing, still keeping him around that All-Star break, it seems. So that's like 2 weeks from now only. So not that far. I didn't realize we're already up to All-Star break here in a couple of weeks. That's just crazy to think about. 2 weeks from the home run derby. I'm serious, 2 weeks away. We just had Gunnar Henderson announce he's going to be there. Brewers probably won't have anyone. As we know, that's not the forte of this team. Unless it's a grand slam. Put bases loaded, then you can have Bryce Terang do it. Otherwise, injuries that we're seeing, we might see. We saw Jacob Junis pitch back. Pitch again. That's what I want to talk about. He's returned 2 outings this week, and he's been phenomenal. Right, it's been the short reliever who came in and yeah, Eric, 2 weeks away. Home run derby's already the 14th, 15th. We're of July. We're gonna hit July tomorrow. It's flown by with All-Star Week already coming here in a couple weeks. And I'll touch on kind of what the schedule looks like for the Brewers, but Junis looked really good in his 3 innings of work he's had this past week. He should deserve a little spot start. He would be a great guy to have an opener with, as is Wilson. And that's what we're looking at for the pitching side. Inoue Paredes, a guy who we've been hyping up, still has only a 1.23 ERA in 14 innings pitched. Just an unsung hero for the bullpen. And then also should be reliever of the year, Brian Hudson, 0.84 ERA. I just want to point out just a quick rant. Hudson, 0.84 ERA, with how many innings of work? 43 innings of work, 49 strikeouts in that too. ERA plus a 4.99. He is, people are overhyping Ryan Helsley as the National League reliever of the year. Like he's like favorite on all the books and everything. And Hudson has a lower ERA by almost 2 earned runs with more innings pitched. So Helsley's around a 2.68 ERA and Hudson's around a 0.84. So a little under 2 runs difference there. And Hudson has more innings pitched, but yet he is not even being considered, which just is remarkable. He may not make an all-star team just because he doesn't have the ultimate counting stat, the save, right? The save is what people look for with that. Hudson does not have a single save this year, but he's pitching in leverage situations. He's pitching with base runners on, coming in to relieve guys. So a little fascinating to me, but just found that to be a little weird, but little rant. Hudson should be an all-star and then also be the reliever of the year. I think that he needs that national hype. I think if he's an all-star, I think that greatly improves his chances for reliever of the year, but I just want to touch on that a little bit because I find it to be fascinating. Now I was on the pitching side I wanted to talk about. The hitters, right? We talked about the Grand Slam guys. Um, Bryce Terang leads your team in WAR right now with 3.5. As Contreras has faltered a little bit. His average is now down to 289. He's still getting hits though. Don't worry. He still has 93 hits this year. Still on pace for a very good year. It's just that after he had that thumb wrist problem, he's kind of been faltering. He hasn't been the same guy. Is really what we're seeing. Um, I'd say Bryce Terang though, right? The defensive presence he has should be a Gold Glover. Is something that really helps his chance there to keep that WAR and keep him as the top Brewer in baseball references. Um, I did want to mention something I found fascinating looking through Fangraph stats, advanced stats. Jackson Churio leads all right fielders in WAR, in defensive WAR. So what that is like just with the defensive value he provides, it finds that he's number one. Which watching him play, as a Brewer fan, you wouldn't think that. It's pretty awkward him going to foul balls or fly balls, let alone. But how he's playing and the range he's covering compared to other right fielders, if you think he's an athletic guy who could be in center field, but like Blake Perkins, the role he's had, he was well above. He was, I believe, a 4.4 when I looked, and the next closest was like a 1.5, 2.5. So a pretty sizable difference. I don't know if he's actually going to win it because of that one stat, but fascinating that he's going to probably be in consideration because of that stat. Even when you watch him play, he's let some fly balls go. He's looked awkward, some bobbles, some miscommunications with infielders. It certainly doesn't feel like a Gold Glover, but a 900 OPS for the month of June will at least put him in the conversation to be one of the top rookies, as he should be, as is Joey Ortiz. That's just my little rant on. It's a good rant too about how he's performed so far this year. Joey Ortiz is number 3 on the team with WAR. He's surpassed William Contreras. And then Willie Adames right now is, 0 for 25 streak, 0 for 26. This is what you get with Willie Adames. You get the beauty, you get the 10 for 20 streak with 3 home runs or whatever, and then you get the 0 for 26. That's who Willie Adames is. He'll come around. He always does. I'm not worried. He has long enough track record. And then there's rounding up Perkins and Yelich there. Look, that's kind of how this team's been. They win games, a different guy each day, and we'll keep doing that. Talk about how our schedule is starting for July 1st here. It's something. It's a 7-game schedule here. West Coast trip, one of the last ones of the year already. And I know we're July, but they've also got a lot of them out of the way already. So yeah, you're at Coors Field for 4. The Brewers actually haven't really fared well there, I'd say, in their history, but all games are at night, 7:40, 7:40, 7:40, and 7:10. And then a 3-game series against the Dodgers. Yeah, that's the one that's like 9:10, 6:15 on Saturday. That game's on Fox. That's on national television. You'll find that one. And then 3:10 on Sunday. They get a well-deserved off day then Monday, July 8th, a travel day back from Colorado and / Los Angeles there. So that's what we're looking at for the schedule. I'm hoping for a 4-3 week. It's a tough one. Brewers don't play well in Colorado. They should be favored to win each game, presumably at least some of it. Pending if they have Dallas Keuchel start. I didn't even talk about that because that's going to be a disaster. I get being optimistic about it, but you can't start Dallas Keuchel. You can't in Coors Field. Just please don't do it, Brewers. I know you got to have some guys eat innings. I know, but please not Keuchel. It's not going to work. It just his velo's off. 87. He's getting with the sinker. That thing's going to fly out of Coors Field. With the lack of spin on it, it's just whatever. Just don't have that happen. We have then the Dodgers. That's going to be an interesting series. See how the Brewers pitch Shohei Ohtani, and then also, of course, Freddie Freeman, right, and the other guys there. I was going to say Mookie Betts, right? He's out with an injury right now, so the Brewers do catch the Dodgers at a good time, but they still are loaded with stars, so that's still a concern. And then facing the Rockies, so 4-3 is the goal. I'll be back here next week. We'll talk about it. And then the next week, which is the last one before the All-Star break. Crazy. Time flies. And I will see you all hopefully on Wednesday there with another episode of Journey to Million. But check out at Drew Sports Crew on Instagram, X, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, for all sports related content, right? A post a day I have there for you all. Have tomorrow an MLB team ranking little tournament thing going on. You can check that out. I'm ranking some teams on my head, choosing which one would win the tournament. So, and then on the NFL side, I've been doing some bingo, trying to get blackout, trying to get every single team filled on the bingo card. And so far, it hasn't really gone that well. We'll see how it goes this week. So check that out and have a great week, everyone. That'll wrap it here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Sunday night. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.